Hey ladies, so this is the last lesson in our prep unit. Thanks for following along so far, and hopefully this is helping you as you navigate your way through consigning with us at Persnicketies. So this last lesson is just simply on how to organize your items. Some examples of ways that can help you. There's just a couple of ways that make it a little more simple for you to sometimes enter your items into our software system. So it's obviously up to you how you choose to do that, but I just wanted to give a couple of recommendations that can make your life easier as you prepare to start entering your items into the system. So one of the most common ways that you can do this is once you have prepped all your items and gotten them ready to sell, like we just talked about in the last lesson, then obviously you're ready to go with entering your items into the system. So one of the ways that you can do that is by organizing your clothing items into gender and size. So if you have, say, a boy and a girl, obviously, then you could take the boy clothing and put them into correct sizes. So say if it was 6-month and then 12-month and then 18-month and then size 2, you would just have stacks of each of those sizes. And then you would do the same thing with the girl clothing. And that way, when you get ready to enter, you aren't having to change the category. It will stay boys clothing, for example, while you are entering those items, and then all you will change is the size. As you prepare to enter those items, you'll just change it as you get to each new size category. Same thing with the girls. You would just change over to girls clothing, obviously, and do the same thing with the size category as you move up sizes in the stacks. So that is one way that you can do this that makes your life easier. It's just one less thing to think about when you are putting these items into the software. Another thing on that topic that is important, and I'll talk about this again when we get to the entering items into the system, but it is very important that the categories and sizes and description and all that is correct, because if it is not, then it can skew a lot of things. So just make sure that you always are entering items into the correct categories and the correct sizes for clothing items. Another way, if you don't want to do gender and sizes, a lot of people prefer doing it that way because they don't have to switch those two things. A way that I like doing it that someone had told us about years ago is that you can also, instead of worrying about the sizes, you can also do price stacks. So you could do this one of two ways with the price stacks. You could still do gender and then do price stacks, or you can just do price stacks and all the gender, like boy and girl, be in one price stack if you prefer that. So the way that one would work is what I normally do with price stacks is I'll take either Post-it notes or index cards, and I will put prices on each of those Post-it notes or index cards. For example, our price minimum is $4. So I would have a $4 Post-it note. Then I would go maybe a $5 Post-it note. Then I would maybe do like an $8, $10, $12, $14, go up from there. And so whatever my ending point may be, whether it's $28 or 30 if I have, depending on how high end of pieces I have. So you would have Post-it notes or index cards for as many price stacks as you would need, if that makes sense. And like I said, you would just start at the minimum, which is $4, and then you would in the room that I'm in, I just literally go across the room and lay the Post-it notes out far enough apart that I can start my stacks. And then you can take your clothing items, and as you look at them, you can go in and put them into the price stack that they coordinate with. So if you pull a Vineyard Vine shirt for a boy and you're going to price it at $14, then you would put it in the $14 stack. And if you're doing a boys price stack and a girls, you would, obviously put it in the boys. If you're just doing a price stack and not worrying about gender, then you would just stick it in the $14 one, if that makes sense. If you're going to do boy and girl, I would suggest maybe doing like blue Post-it notes for the boys price stacks across the room, and then pink for the girls, and that makes it easier. So just for your visual. And then say you get to a Matilda Jane, a pair of shorties, and you're going to do those for $10 or $12, then you would just go in and throw those down under the Post-it note or index card for that price. And then you go through all your clothing items, and you get that done. And then as you enter those items, you are having to change, depending on if you do boy price stacks and girl price stacks, you're potentially having to change genders. And you're definitely probably having to change sizes, but what I like about it is I'm not having to think through every piece. Okay, what do I want to put this at? Like, I do all of that up front, and so I'm not having to think through on every single piece as I enter them what I want to price it at. So it's really just how your brain works and what works better for you. I would prefer to have to change the categories than having to decide what I'm pricing every single item at as I get to it. It's just exhausting for me. But some people don't mind that part, and they would rather not have to change the gender and the size, you know, every time, every other time, whatever. So those are two ways that you can do it. Neither one is perfect and neither one is required. You can do our third option, which I like to call the willy-nilly, and you can just be at the mercy of however the pieces come up as you get to them. And there's a lot of people that do that. So whatever works for your personality is fine. Like I said, if you want to just grab a bin and start entering items as you come to them and do no organization beforehand, totally fine too. So I just wanted to give a couple of those tips. Some people feel that it saves them time with doing the gender and size stacks, same as the price stacks. And so I hated not to let you guys know about those options just to make your life easier if one of those sound good to you. Once again, if you have any questions about prepping items and there's something that was left out of one of these unit lessons or that was not covered to your liking that you need more information on, please, once again, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are always happy to help. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.